Here are a few examples of using the quadratic formula to solve quadratic equations. So notice if x squared plus bx plus c equals 0, then this is true. A, b, and c are just numbers, right? There's no x's involved. It's x is equal to these things. And, well, let's just go ahead and jump in. So as I look at this equation, a is how many x squareds there are. So there's one x squared, and my b value is x's, so there's b is 8, and c is my 1, so c is 12. So I know my a, b, and c values. So now all I have to do is plug them into this formula and then evaluate it. So this is true. I have ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. So x must equal, let's see, negative b, so negative 8 plus or minus the square root of 8 squared minus 4 times a times c. So 4 times a is 1, c is 12. And that whole thing is over 2 multiplied by a. So again, I just want to emphasize what I've done is I've plugged in the a, b, and c values into this formula. And now I'm just going to do some arithmetic. So I've got negative 8 plus or minus a square root. 8 squared is 64 minus 4 times 1 times 12. 4 times 1 times 12 is 48, so minus 48. And that whole thing is over 2 times 1, 2. All right, let me keep going from here. Negative 8 plus or minus the square root. 64 minus 48 is 16. That's still over 2. Square root of 16 is 4. So negative 8 plus or minus 4 over 2. And now this plus or minus, as you know, gives me two answers. Like one is the minus answer. So let's see. Negative 8 minus 4, that's negative 12, which is still divided by 2. Negative 8 plus 4, that's negative 4, which is divided by 2. And then I can do this division. This gives me a negative 6. That gives me a negative 2. So x equals those things. Great, let's do this next one. A is 1, B is negative 4, C is positive 5. Cool. So negative B. But B's already negative, right? So this is a negative 4. That's a very common mistake to not put both negatives. But it's minus B, negative B. So negative 4. It's going to end up being a positive 4. And then the square root of b squared. Notice I write it this way. So negative 4 is squared. Minus 4 multiplied by a multiplied by c. That whole thing is over 2 multiplied by a. All right, let's do some arithmetic. Negative 4, boom, it's positive 4. Negative 4 squared is positive 16. This should always end up being positive. And then it's going to be minus 20 over 2. I see some trouble on the horizon here. 16 minus 20 is negative 4. And if I try to square root negative 4, I'm not going to get a real answer. So at this point, I can say no real solution. Cool. Next one. A is 1. B is negative 4. C is negative 1. Let's plug these things into this formula. Negative b, again, negative 4, plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c. C is negative 1 in this case. All over 2 times a. Don't forget that denominator. It's a pretty common thing for folks to forget it. Subtract a negative is a positive. Negative 4 squared is 16. And notice what I have here. Negative 4 times 1 times negative 1. And negative times a negative is positive. So this is plus 4 over 2. 16 plus 4 is 20. And at this point, at least in Algebra 1, we haven't talked about how to simplify these. So we can just leave our answer like this. It's really two answers. One of them being 4 plus the square root of 20 over 2. The other being 4 minus the square root of 20 over 2. Beep, bop, boop. Great, last example. And then this one, A is 3, B is negative 18, and C is 24. So negative B plus or minus the square root of, let's see, b squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2 times a. Okay. Well, let's keep going from here. Negative 18 is positive 18. Negative 18 squared. I'm going to grab my calculator. 18 squared. The answer is going to be positive 324 minus 4 times 3 times 24. There's 288 over 2 times 3, which is 6. Okay, 18 plus or minus over 6 square root. 324 minus that 288 is 36. Great, square root of 36 is 6. I like that. 18 plus or minus 6 over 6. Let's see, 18 plus 6 is what, 24? And 18 minus 6 is 12. So it looks like my answers are 4 and 2. All right, and those are just some examples on how to use that quadratic formula.